Hello. Just getting situated here. Welcome, welcome. We are here in the weekly office hours and we're going to take questions. But we do have a topic. We're going to talk a bit about the mistakes businesses make that can make your business run be very messy inside of and have minimal organization. I'm going to show you a couple of ways or just discuss a couple of ways to get more organized with that. But we're here to take questions. So bring your questions. Bring your questions. So, a little bit about Google Drive. It's a great way, a great tool to organize your business as far as having the operations set up, how you're gonna manage clients, your marketing, sales sections. It's a great ecosystem. Google Workspace in general is a ecosystem for your business, but Google Drive is the core of it, where you have everything living there. But you want to keep it really organized, and that's a area that a lot of, especially new businesses, struggle. They kind of just do attack things as they happen rather than having some intentional organization. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, just some simple strategies to get you organized. And then I'll be taking questions as people come in. So I pretty much break the pillars down for talking about organization in your Google Drive, as far as organization, any AI usage and collaboration with others, and then the security. For security, most people think about their docs, their forms, the files that you have, like especially if you have client files or maybe your financial records inside of your business. There's so many different documents that you may want security for. And when I say security, most of these tools have a decent amount of security. What I'm saying is, or what I'm talking about is you deciding who has access to these particular documents, whether it's someone on your team, if it's just you running your business and you giving minimal access to clients and maybe collaborators. That's the type of security I'm talking about. AI collaboration, using these tools to help your productivity rather than depending on them to do things that you either aren't doing or aren't interested in doing. Because organization is first, and then the collaboration, and then security. And when you group things in those three areas, in those three categories, it makes it a lot simpler to figure out the mistakes in areas. And one thing that, hold up for a second. Let me just get started. I was going to do something really simple. Um, yeah, okay. So when we're talking about our Google Drive, we want to manage it in an efficient way because we're running our business or we're starting a business and using this tool. We don't want to treat it like a digital junk drawer, which a lot of us tend to do at the beginning because we're kind of collecting documents, dumping files, creating forms and things, but we don't have any full on structure and then we have to go back later and create that, which is going to be a bit tough. So rather than do that, number one mistake is no folder structure. When we're creating this type of account in your business account, you want to have something simple but efficient. I mean, dumping everything going into your drive. I've worked with clients where we're looking for something, where she shares the screen and we're looking for something, and it's just a massive pile of forms. And I'm like, what type of file are we looking for? If we don't have any kind of strategic or file system or folder structure, it's going to be tough, even using Google, to search and find documents. Mistake number one, dumping everything into one place because we have no folder structure. It just compounds chaos. We're going to have, every time something happens, you say, oh, I'm going to organize these files. But we never get to it. When something else comes up and we have to find something, and it's chaos on wheels again. So create a simple but scalable folder system from the beginning. You don't have one established now. Today, and I mean simple. You can have an operations folder, financial folder, sales, marketing, clients. That's it. Those folders and the things that fall into those categories, you will have a subfolder there. But stop now, if you're doing it, dumping everything into one place inside of your Google Drive. And make these systems, these folders, which we're going to talk about next, with some consistent naming. Notice I said consistent. I mean, whatever naming convention, if you want to use the year, the date, and the client's name or the type of file it is, that's fine, but do it consistently, because you want to be able to find everything that you're looking for quickly. So many people I've worked with that we're going to start on a project, but it takes us 20 minutes to find the file, or it takes us 20 minutes to get to an agreement or a contract that they're looking for, because they don't have any kind of consistent. That's the first thing we jump on. We go in and create that because it's a simple thing, but once you've started setting up your business and to go in afterwards, it can be time consuming to go down and repair all that or name things that you don't have named. But just create some simple folder structures for your general categories in your business, and then choose a naming convention and stick to it. And it's pretty. You can even stick to something super simple with the date. If the files are pretty much going to be by category, I would suggest the date, the category of document, like is it an invoice, is it a contract, is it a training document, and then if it's for clients, it's client last name and what version, because the versions can be particularly chaotic, especially when you have multiple people working on something and you're not saving all of the versions are getting saved, but you're naming them. It'll be like client Susie Q's file, and then you just make another one, and then every meeting you just make another one, and it's the same person's name, but it's 12 copies, but no consistent naming convention. Random files will make your searches impossible. And that's one of the things I see the most with people with searches. They've got random names across the board, what they call 3 clients types of files, different categories. It's all different. So create a clear naming convention, date, client name, the version, etc., and use it consistently with everything. So that was mistake number 1, folder structure. Mistake number 2, inconsistent file naming. Mistake number 3, not using shared drive files correctly. I use shared drives and workspaces differently. Shared drive, you're sharing with people, you're sharing random links instead of organizing your team access. Now, when you have these links that you're going to clients or to external people, that's one thing. But sharing drives, you should be able to have a whole drive that's just for your team. You guys are avoiding some of the security risks that people with any length, because don't think about it. When you look at the permissions, it's these specific people can use it, people on your team can use it, and anyone with link can edit. So anybody that gets this link can edit something, and it could be an important document. You don't want all kinds of people to have access to that. So set up the proper permissions when you have shared drives, and use the shared drives just for your team, and limit all these, wild, wild west permissions where anyone can link. Now, understand sometimes you need an anyone can link. I mean, you may have anyone can link for things that may be a lead magnet, but you need it to live in your thing. You need it to live in your drive. But you create the link and then you take it elsewhere to have, because you have a way to get people to track who's using it. But setting up your permissions properly is the first place to start. So, number 4. This is a big one, because at the beginning people think, oh, that I don't have much going on. I don't need to do that. Mistake number 4, no backup or version control system. Even as a solopreneur, that can come around and bite you in the really quickly, because I have done it. I have made that mistake even when I was, or witnessed that mistake, even when I was in corporate and we were using, collaborating on files. It got so bad when we were saving files or sharing files with each other. I would have my things on a thumb drive separately, because people would be doing everybody's hands. Nobody knew how to save the documents in a way that the versions were separated. We had to give like a training separately to show people how to save things, and you're not overwriting on top of somebody's document and they've completed it. That was a nightmare. But people do it in their own businesses as well. So rather than avoid that, if you want to avoid that, just use Google Drive. Has a great version history feature. For anything you create, you can go scroll on top. And if you'd like to see a video where I demonstrate some of these mistakes and how they look when they're corrected, you can comment below. But using the version history, especially when you're collaborating with others, you have your version you're working on, they have their version you're working on. At any given time, you can go review those different versions. Because if you say you're working on a document and you've got an assistant working on something, and they, put some things in and you're like, wait, I hadn't finished. I need to go back to, you can go back to that version and add notes and annotate whatever you need, or just get rid of the other version. You absolutely can do that. All the versions will be available using that version history section. So using the backup, always back up your documents. I have had some rough experiences where I was like, oh, it's fine, I don't need a backup. Yeah, you do. And especially when it's something like with my situation, my computer went kapooey and I had a lot of things on my hard drive and it went down, and I was like horrified. And I was like, oh my God, my whole business is here. So we had to go take it to a professional and they were able to retrieve it. But from then on, I was backing up on cloud or backing up on external drive, whatever you prefer. Of course, cloud is a lot easier and Google Workspace makes it easy for you to do that. But just having and annotate and using your backup or version control system, use those. Turn on the version history and set a backup routine. Have a backup routine for like weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever you want. Because when you start to create these processes and systems for your business, they become like a natural habit for you. And you've got it documented. You create your little SOPs, and everyone that helps you knows the processes and systems. So they'll know that this is the Thursday that we do backups before lunch. Everyone on the team will know that. Create that type of system for your business, for the backups, and include the backups. So, and number five, no maintenance routine. And what I mean by that is, especially if you're using a free account, you really do need to have some type of maintenance routine so your drive does not get cluttered. Because you get 15 gigabytes of free space or however much you get in a free account. You use it up pretty quickly, especially if you started your business and you're doing coaching calls or discovery calls. Images and videos take up a lot of space. So don't let your drive get cluttered, because I mean, for every time you think, oh yeah, I'll get to it later, and then comes a time where they're warning you, we're going to delete all this stuff, or you're going to have to upgrade and pay more, or pay if you're still on a free account. They'll just shut it down. You don't want that to happen in a big middle of a big campaign where you've got things going on with clients and you just don't have time for that. Create a system for yourself, a little routine, like we talked about with the backup and the version controls, building that system out. Do the same thing with your maintenance, checking on the things that are cluttered, setting up archiving, schedule a monthly drive cleanup, because if you do it monthly, when it's time for you to migrate to another tool or pull out of an account and do something else, or just delete a lot of things, monthly makes it a lot smoother and cleaner to remove documents, clean out and archive files. You do not want to wait till you've got to migrate to another system and you've got to do all this cleaning out before you can do that. Yeah, I know, because I've experienced that and helped clients that experienced it as well. It is not a easy. It's very tedious, and it's something that we really don't need to be doing when we can just take some time monthly and do some maintenance. Create a little monthly drive cleanup session where you just archive and delete and reorganize, because a lot of the things we use, if we looked at it regularly enough, we could say, okay, I've used that. I need to delete or we have 5 copies of it. So I need to just move it to the one version we need. Or it can just be archived and moved to an external drive or some other place that maybe you have all the things that you keep that you need, but you're not easily accessing them all the time. That's what you want to build out. So we talked about 5 common mistakes new business owners make: in their Google Drive, no folder structure, inconsistent file naming, not using the shared drives correctly, especially when you have a team, not having a backup version or using the version control system properly, and not having a maintenance routine to archive, delete, and reorganize your files. Doing those things, making those mistakes can easily be fixed by what we just talked about. Simple fixes for each one of those. But creating a system for yourself where you do this on a regular basis is the most important thing. Being consistent, just like with everything else inside the business. So that's it for that. I'm going to take some questions. I've gotten a few questions. Let's see. Can I transition my Google from my personal to my business? I'm I'm thinking they want to turn the one they have into their business. It depends. If you have a lot of documents in your personal, like I had a personal Google account and I pretty much kept it personal. I would have a few random things in Google Drive, but it never, even when I had decided to start the business, I just created another free account to see if I was gonna, like using that tool or go back to what I was using before. I did not use my personal account. So it's really tough, especially when you have images. I don't like ever mixing my business and my personal things. So I've always been kind of like squeamish about doing that. So I kept all my stuff personal separate. I would advise to just create a separate account, Google Workspace, a Gmail account, or whatever you want to call it, They have the free account. Make the free account. And if you're trying to decide when it's going to be time for you as a business owner to start it, or you're already ready to start it, just go and do that. Don't now, if you got to transition things, like you've been running your business out of your personal, you could probably convert it. I just don't advise it. It's a lot more work to separate those things, and you always want to have your personal and your business separate. The financials and the paperwork, you want everything separate. It's easier. So unless there's a real reason, like everything in your business is already in your personal and you're just going to upgrade it, then I might just upgrade the account and then move all that personal stuff into one folder and then create all new folders for the business account. But it's just so much easier just to create another account. It's quite easy to create a whole new Google Workspace account. I would do that first. So hope that was the answer you could accept for that question. Okay, what's my next question? How do you determine how to set up your folders for your business? I saw in another video you had a bunch of folders, but then you say only have 5 core folders. Okay, you probably watched me demonstrating what's actually in my business, but those folders have been there for quite a while. And they're subfolders. The easiest way to get yourself organized is to have your core folders. That's pretty much what I'm talking about. You may have subfolders with, and that's probably what you saw in my drive. I might have shown you the core folders and then went beneath and you saw a lot of different folders. So it's really about having those core folders at the beginning, not dealing, just having a bunch of random folders or making a folder for every topic that you have. That's not necessary either. Because when you think about it in your business, pretty much make folders for what's actually going to be important in your business at the beginning. Operations, clients, sales and marketing, and financials. Financials could actually fall under operations if you wanted to. So really just keeping it narrowed down as possible with the folders. So yeah, I would subfolders, don't go too crazy with them. But if you need to stay organized, maybe you have a good example would be maybe you got 2 different types of things inside of one business, then maybe you could have a different set. But for the most part, the core folders and then subfolders inside. And use the same consistent naming conventions for those folders and for the forms and documents you use as well. Let's see. Another question. How do I share things with my clients but not have them see all of my files? That's what we were talking about when it came to permissions. That's permissions. When you share, okay, let's break that down. Now, we just talked about having folders, and you're going to have a main core folder for clients. So that folder will say clients, and inside of it, it will have client number 1, Susie Q, client number 2, Billy Bob, client number 3, Athena, client number 4, whoever. So those are all separate clients. They're all going to have their own folder to identify them. Even though they're inside of that client folder, when you start assigning permissions, Susie Q is only going to have access to that folder, Susie Q. You're not sharing. It's going to look like she has access to the client folder, but she really, because the client folder, her folder is inside of the client folder. So she's really only going to have access to that. And when you want to make sure people have specific access, there's a permissions area that you can just click where they just have access to that form. I even like to monitor when you have videos and things, you can control whether people can download it, how long they can look at the video or have access to it. You can shut all that down. And if depending on who the videos and the access is for, you might want to do that, control whether or not, especially for things that are part of a program. Now, of course, there's other tools to do that. Now people have memberships, but before people were, using tools that were just for that particular thing, managing clients and subscribers inside of memberships and programs, you could do the very almost same thing with your accesses inside of your Google Drive. I've seen clients or help clients create access where a coaching client had access to certain videos, were part of that program, and they had it for as long as they were in that program. And the program was based on a timeline. So if it was a 90-day program, they had access to this particular date, and then they might have given them a little, 30-day grace, and then they no longer had access to that, nor could they download that. So that's what I mean by permissions and access for security. You do have control of what people see. And you can even test it if you don't, you're worried that somebody can see something you don't want them to see. It's pretty simple to make sure they only see what you want them to see in a folder or a document that you set up. So, yeah. So I don't see any more questions. So I'm going to wrap this up. Bring your questions. Every week we're going to be doing this. If you've got questions about starting your business, running the back office, behind the scenes, all of the questions, bring them to our weekly office hours right here. I'll be here and I will answer them for you live. See you soon.